joins now. And what are joins? Now, what we studied till now was how to use subqueries and how to use subqueries to actually get data. So we were supposed to get department name from one table and based on some value in another table, and we were using difficult concepts such as subquery. What happens is that, using subquery is really difficult sometimes, and making all these different types of subquery joins is also difficult. So what SQL really provides you is an easier method and an easier tool, and that's uh, uh, you know how to really use inner, right, full, and left join. And basically what you need to do over here is there are different types of joins which you can use in SQL when you want data from more than one table. For instance, what we can do at this point is just retrieve data from one table, right? So if I want data from uh, a table, what I can do is select star from hr.employees. However, different tables in SQL can actually join together as well. So this is just a simple select statement in SQL. So how would I really join my data together as well? How would I really make my data, make those joins better? So there's a method, and there's different types of joins in SQL. There's one which is known as inner. There's one which is known as the right side of the join. There's a full join, and there's a left join. We're going to take examples of each joins later on, but the method to actually create a join is that you need to write what table needs to be joined with what table. So if you want to join the table A with the table B, what you would do is you would write some sort of a, from table A, and then you need to find how it is joining to table B, and then you need to define what is the key element of it. Now, here's an example of this. Now, we're going to talk about an inner join, which is going to actually get the common data between two tables. So what this is going to do is, if you have two tables and you want the common data which exists between two tables, you would use an inner join. It returns matching data from multiple table sites. So what you would do is you would write select table 1, column 1, select table 2, column 2, from table 1 join table 2, and the same thing, and then you would eventually define what common fields are joining, basically, and you need to provide that as an equal to. You can also give aliases as well. So let me show you an example of actually how to do a join. So let's say we want to join let's say we want the employee's first name, their last name. We want the department ID of the employees, and we also want the department name of the employees. So now, department name, it actually does not exist in the HR employees table. It exists inside the departments table. So how would I really get to it? So what I can do is I can say select first underscore name, last underscore name, and then I can say let's go to the next part of it. Department underscore ID, and I want department underscore name as well. So that's the third of mine. Is it department underscore name? Let me just do a quick select star from department hr.department, so I get the column name actually. So I'm going to do a quick star from select star from hr.departments, and it's department underscore name. So yeah, that's fine. Now, what I want to do is I want to merge. I want to join these two queries over here, and what I want to these two tables, which is HR employees, and I want to join department, because I want the first name, and this exists inside the uh, departments inside the employees table. Last name also is inside the employees table, and department ID also exists inside the employees table. While department name does not exist in any of these tables. So what I need to do over here is I need to eventually join. So you need to create a join. So what I would do is I'll say, well, inner join, HR.departments. Now, what this would do is it's going to tell that employees table needs to join to the departments table. However, it does need to know what columns are going to be equal, because it can't really join them without knowing which columns have a mapping or a relationship. So what I can do is I can write an on clause over here, and what I'm going to do with an on clause is I'm going to define which two columns are equal. So hr.employees dot department underscore ID, department underscore name equals hr.departments, department underscore ID equals to hr.departments dot department underscore ID. Now, once I define which two columns are equal, this is going to create a join for me, and it's going to show all these together. Okay. I think it's hr.departments. Yeah, over here. My bad, guys. Let's run this. Now, one column is defined as ambiguous. Let's take this one out. Let's not take and let's not talk about this one right now. Let's just do first name, last name, and department name. Now, what you can see over here is it's getting department name from the departments table, and it's getting first name, last name from the employees table. And the way it's created this relationship is that it's saying hr.employees.department ID equals to hr.departments.department underscore ID. So it's creating a mapping relationship between these two by defining that these two columns are equal and make a join between these two tables using these two columns. Does it make sense, guys? Are you able to understand this?
Yes.
Is everyone on the same page?
Yes.
Any questions? Okay. You can also give aliases as well over here. So you can say as hr.employees EMP and as DEP. That would mean that instead of writing the entire table name, I can say EMP over here, and I can just say DEP. That would make it much more easier for me. As DEP, or let's put it as E, and that makes it much more easier for me to actually and let's take as, instead of saying as D, I can just say E over here, or EMP, or DEP. And what this would do is it's going to actually reassign a name to the table. And this is known as aliases. Now, what aliases do is it makes it makes it easier for me. Instead of actually saying the entire table name again, I just need to actually call it by. Now, I can just use a word over here, just one word, and I can just call it using one word as well. So that makes it much more simpler in that context.
Quick question.
Yeah.
I'm kind of confused on line number 5.
Yeah.
Why do we have to write department underscore ID equals department underscore ID?
Hey, okay, let me do it again over here. So that is actually confusing. So it's saying that hr.employees.department underscore ID equals to hr.departments.department underscore ID. Now, we talked about just the basic inner join. Now, there are 3 different types of join which are out there. There's known as the left join, there's also the right join, there's full join. And these are the 3 different types of joins which actually exist. And then there's the inner join. Let me give you an example of what's the difference between all these different types of joins. Let's actually take this. And really, there's not much of a contextual, scripting difference, but there's a contextual or meaning difference between these all. So let's add this type of join. So let's say if I have employee table over here, and inside employee table I have employee ID, and then I have employee name inside the employee table, and I have another table which is departments. Well, I'm just taking the same example, and I have department ID, and I have department ID inside this table as well, and then I have department name. So these are two tables, and I hope you guys are able. So in the employee table, make it a little bigger so you guys can see. In the employee table, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 employees, and names John Doe, Jane, Mary Jane, uh, John Smith, and Jane Doe. Let's put it like that. And they're working 1, 1, 1, and 2. And let's say 1, 1, 2, and there's no department associated with Jane Doe. And or let's say 1, 2, and 3. And then let's say we have department 1, 2, 3, 4, and one department is HR, we have finance, and then we have, let's say, HR, finance, uh, marketing, and then let's say analytics. So we have 4 departments over here, and there we have department ID with associated with 3 of them in the employees table. Now, if I do a simple select, let's say employee ID, uh, employee name, and department name, and I'm going to add department ID as well. So department ID and department name from hr.employees inner join hr.departments, and then over here I'm just going to write the on employee let's say hr.employee.department under ID equals to hr.department.department ID. Let's put it like this. Now, let's say, so the result set which I would get for this is employee ID, employee name, department ID, and department name. These are the 4 columns. And let's see what result set what I would get. So when I do an inner join, I will get these 3 columns over here, 1, 2, 3, and then I'll get department ID 1, department ID 2, department ID 3, and then HR, finance, and marketing. Now, what an inner join would do is it's only going to get the rows which are common between uh, these tables. So it's 1, 2, 3, and that's the only common ones which exist between these 2 tables. So you have, so what this is going to do is it's only going to show me rows for those where department ID exists. So it's not going to show me Jane Doe because he doesn't have any department associated with it. So inner join will take it out. Okay. Does it make sense, guys? So inner join will only show you what is common between these 2 data sets. Make sense? No? Yes? Confused?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Can you explain once again? I'm confused.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. No problem. So what would happen if you're using an inner join? Now, inner join will only show you those rows which have the common department IDs. Now, what you're doing is you're doing an inner join over here, right? This is the inner join which you've written. Inner join will only get the common rows. So it knows there's one, it knows there's two, it knows there's three. So what it would do is it's going to match these and say, well, these three exist. Okay. But then with Jane Doe, inner join does not know what if there's any kind of a department which is associated with it. So in terms of a department name, it's not going to show you any results. And what this is going to do is it's going to say, well, filter this row out, right? So it's going to filter it out, and it's going to filter this one out as well, because number 4 does not include it over here. So if you've known sets in math, this is basically the common data between two sets. Okay?
Mm.
All right, so let's talk about left join. What do you think a left join would give you if I change my join? So in terms of a left join, I just need to just change the terminology over here. What a left join would give you is all the data from the left side of the table and then the matching common rows. So in this case, you will have 4, you will have Jane Doe, but you won't have any department ID or department name associated with it because she doesn't have a department ID. So these two will be null. In terms of a right join, it's just the opposite. What's going to happen is it's going to take everything from the right side. So everything from this table is going to have 4 analytics. However, there's no employee associated with analytics. It's going to have this as empty. And then there's another one, which is the full join, full outer join. What do you think the result of a full outer join would look like? Well, it's going to
All the columns will
have all the columns. So it's going to have 4 Jane Doe, and then it's going to have 5, and it's going to have empty rows in front of Jane Doe, empty rows for employees for this, and it's going to have, sorry, 4 analytics, and that's going to be included as well.
Okay.
So that's basically the difference between a left, right, full, and an outer and an inner join. So an inner join will get the common rows between the table. A left join will get everything from the left side of the table. A right join will get everything from. Sorry, guys, I'm hearing voices. So please, thank you. Right join will get everything from the right side of the table, and full join will actually get everything from it, while an inner join will only get the matching columns from the data. The only difference between a left join and you know the only difference is between a left join and a right join is that it just uses no, sorry, an inner join is that it just is a different terminology. No, left and left outer join mean the same thing. So sometimes in an interview, they might try to confuse you. What's the difference between left join and a left outer join? Don't get confused with it. It's the same thing. Right and right outer join, they eventually mean the same thing as well. They're the same thing. And full outer join, they're the same thing.